Warning, the following 30-minute pre-recorded podcast contains a guy giving his own personal opinions going on in sports, entertainment, and other things happening in the world, but no politics. Also, he will try his best not to swear, but then again, he might let out a swear or two loose because that's how people talk sometimes. So, if you do not want to hear him babble and possibly swear for about 30 minutes, you may click out at this time. And if you have not clicked off, enjoy the podcast.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Colton R's Not So Live podcast, the podcast where we follow the rules and don't break them, ever. Now you're probably like, why are we saying this, Colton? Why are we saying that we don't, break rules and we always follow them? Because today, on this podcast episode, we're going to be talking about a specific team that most Ohio State fans hate. Well, a lot of Ohio State fans hate. That got away with it. Because, they just did. They did. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to bring back a segment I had on my previous two shows. And it's called The Fumble of the Week.
Crap!
Now, for this fumble of the week, and what I'm going to be talking about for the majority of the podcast. But don't worry, we'll get into football, because this is mainly a football episode. But first, I want to talk about this that has to do with football, because it was all over the news, and everybody went crazy over it. And I went crazy over it, because I got super angry about it. And here's what happened. You guys know the Michigan Wolverines. Yeah, those guys that, every Ohio State fan hates. Well, they were being investigated for, sign stealing, cheating, all that stuff. And also, apparently, one of their coaches kind of invaded people's privacy by using a university computer to hack into the system and look up, sensitive information and stuff about, students and student athletes. Yeah, that guy. And basically, there's a whole big investigation over mainly the sign stealing and the cheating. And also, that coach is also, getting charged with his crimes that he did over at Michigan. But and Harbaugh knew about it, and he still let him coach in the Fiesta Bowl, which was crazy. That Harbaugh did let him do that. So yeah, after 2 years of investigating the sign stealing and cheating stuff that Michigan was doing, we as Ohio State fans, and basically anybody who doesn't like Michigan, we expected a ginormous hammer to come from the heavens and be dropped on Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, a hammer did not get dropped. It was more like a brick that got dropped on him. Minimal damage and not a lot of, things going on. Like, seriously, there was not a lot of things going on with this. So, I have right here on my notebook the notes I took about, Michigan's punishment. So, here's what they were. So, part of the punishment was $50,000 fine, not 10,000, but a 10% fine on the school's football budget, loss of postseason revenue for the next 2 years, or just 2 years, loss of 2 scholarships, 4 years of probation. Their head coach, Sharon Moore, 2-year show cause, suspended for weeks 3 and 4 this season, and a 1-game suspension next year. So yeah, Sharon Moore, 2-year show cause, suspended for weeks 3 and 4 this season, and 1 game next season. Harbaugh gets his show cause extended until 2038, adding on an additional 10 years to the 4 years he had. And Connor Stalions, 8-year show cause, and Denard Robinson, he has a 3-year show cause. And out of all the punishments that the NCAA gave Michigan, there was no wins or any championships vacated. That is crap. You only punished him with the money. With money and suspensions of games and suspensions away from coaching, but no wins or titles vacated. Why? Well, the NCAA says, oh, we don't want to punish the players for, having their wins and titles vacated because they didn't really, they weren't really, part of it. Bro, they literally were given orders by Connor Stalions. And you're saying they're not responsible? They're just as responsible if they're taking orders from Connor Stalions and taking orders from the coaches that were being told by Stalions. Like, seriously. This is insane. Their 3 Big Ten titles are going to stand. Their Rose Bowl title is going to stand. And their national championship is going to stand. All because that, some players, it wasn't the players' fault. They didn't do anything. Really. There's basically the NCAA saying we shouldn't be punishing the players for what had happened, during 2021 through 2023. You punished the players for Ohio State back in 2011 for what 5 players did. If you don't remember, Tattoo-gate, that was a whole thing. And you still punish those players for, for nothing. Like, seriously, you punished players that weren't involved for nothing. So that's why in 2012 we got a bowl ban. Well, basically the whole postseason ban. Because some of those players didn't do anything. But, 5 players on them did trade memorabilia for tattoos. And you're saying, oh, yeah, you guys are going to get bowl banned for the 2012 season. Enjoy having a senior season without any bowl. Or postseason. Or, like no postseason. This is ridiculous. It is so ridiculous that I believe the NCAA has lost all credibility. So, basically, what the NCAA is saying is, oh yeah, if you cheat during like a 3-year span and, sign steal, that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. But trading memorabilia for tattoos is a really bad idea, and you shouldn't, not play in the postseason during your senior year. Like, are you kidding me? This makes no sense. So, Michigan doesn't get a bowl ban, doesn't get their wins vacated or their titles vacated. But Ohio State did back in 2011 when Tattoo-gate was happening. And the NCAA bowl bans them for the 2012 season. Well, basically postseason bans them for the 2012 season. And can't be part of the Coaches Bowl or the BCS Bowl. That's off. That's way off, man. Like, seriously. The NCAA is basically saying cheating and sign stealing is perfectly fine. And you can literally scout your opponents. Like, why? Why is, cheating being said okay by the NCAA? Seriously. So, basically, they're saying point shaving is now illegal. Because remember, there was a point shaving thing going on in basketball, and the NCAA says that's a big no-no because it's kind of considered cheating. But now they're saying, oh, point shaving is now legal. They're saying cheating is now legal in the NCAA. Like, really. So we can, scout our opponents. We can steal their signs. We can find any way to cheat. Well, if that's the case, we could be probably seeing, the group of 5 teams a bunch of group of 5 teams in the college football playoff. And we could see, out of nowhere, the Ohio Bobcats going against the Tulane Green Wave in the national championship. Seriously. We could have that national championship because the NCAA just came out and said, yeah, cheating's fine. Go scout your opponents. Learn how to beat these guys. By, recording their practices and cheating and stuff. Bro. The NCAA is losing their credibility. And honestly, I think it's about time to, abolish the NCAA. Seriously. Your rules are starting to make less sense when you go over everything that's been happening. Not only that, it's like you say you want to protect, the legitimacy of college sports, but you're not really. Why? If you want to say, hey, cheating's not cool with us, lay down the hammer. It's like saying it, if you don't, it makes no sense, guys. Seriously. If a team cheats, you should be laying down the hammer. And Michigan's been doing it over and over again. It was repeated over and over again. But Michigan's like, nah, no repeats here, Only a single time thing. So yeah. Honestly, folks, I feel bad for all those teams that got, their stuff vacated and stuff. From the NCAA, championships, wins, all that good stuff vacated away from them. That I feel like it should be reinstated back. I feel like SMU, they didn't get a whole bunch of stuff vacated, but I feel like they should be given, some restitution or some, some form of, thing for what they did back in the 80s. Seriously. Yes, they violated probation back in the 80s. Yes, they committed violations over and over again. And that's what led to the death penalty for SMU back in the 80s. But I believe they should be, I believe the, NCAA should, reinstate those seasons and just say, oh, yeah, SMU's the national champions for those years as well, because we have no idea what we're doing anymore. They should restore the seasons and basically just give them 3 national championships. So, yeah, basically what I'm saying is the SMU football program should be national champions for those time in the 80s. Because they should be, so technically SMU should be the 1986 champion, the 1987 not the 86 champion, the 1987 champion and the 1988 champion. So yeah. What I'm saying is SMU should be the 1987 and 88 national champions just because they got the death penalty. Because, again, the NCAA is losing credibility. And speaking on restoring stuff and national championships, I feel like it's time for the NCAA to reinstate Ohio State's 2010 season. Seriously. if you're not dropping the hammer on Michigan, you're just going to let them off lightly, then it's time to start reinstating stuff. And it's time to start with reinstating Ohio State's 2010 season. And not only that, they should also reinstate the 2004 USC Trojans National Championship season, the 2012-13 Louisville Basketball Team's National Championship, and also 1998-99 through 2001-2002 Ohio State basketball seasons, because why not? Why the hell not? Because if you're just not going to punish Michigan for what they've been doing, then what's the point? Especially when Paul Feinbaum is an SEC guy, and he says the NCAA has gone soft. So as a guy who roots for a Big Ten team, Ohio State, I agree with Paul Feinbaum of the SEC. See, that guy is smart. He's smart like me and all the other Ohio State fans who think Michigan is guilty. Guilty as sin. We all know they're guilty as sin, but, you know, they just get away with stuff. And the NCAA is losing their credibility. And they're losing their credibility so much that the Auburn Tigers who have claimed national championships in 1957 and I'm losing it here. Woo. So the Auburn Tigers claimed national championships in 1957 and 2010. That's their only 2 national championships that they claimed. But now, out of nowhere, the Auburn Tigers have now proclaimed themselves 9-time national champions. That's right. Auburn basically came out and said, hey, you know what? Since the NCAA has lost their marbles, we have decided that we are going to proclaim ourselves 9-time national champions. Yeah, we found 7 national championships, and we're claiming those. Because we did well in those 7 years. So, Auburn has claimed now the 1910 national championship, the 1913 national championship, the 1914 national championship, the 1958 national championship, the 1983 national championship, the 1993 national championship where they actually went undefeated, but they couldn't, go to any postseason because they were postseason banned by the NCAA. And they have also claimed the 2004 national championship because they went undefeated and basically said, oh, USC lost their title, so basically we're national champions. So yeah, those years are 1910, 1913, 1914, 1958, 1983, 1993, and 2004. Those are the national championships that they've now claimed. So therefore, Auburn has 9 national championships and are halfway from tying Alabama, and they have now tied Ohio State. But, and I say but, Ohio State does not have 9 national championships. That is incorrect. Ohio State actually has 13 national championships. And you're like, 13 national championships? Where are you getting that from, Colton? They clearly have 9. Nope, incorrect. They actually have 13. And you're probably like, where did you get these 13 national titles? I'm glad you asked, because Ohio State was proclaimed national championships by... Wow. I am losing speaking today. I am not speaking correctly today. Man, sucks. But, yeah. Basically, I proclaimed them... Well, basically, they were proclaimed national champions by a couple major selectors, but Ohio State doesn't recognize them. But they should be doing that. They should be recognizing themselves as national champions by these major selectors. So, here are the 4 national championships that Ohio State should, claim. 1933, they went 7-1, 4-1 in the Big Ten, and they were proclaimed national champions by the Dunkel system. 1944, they went 9-0, 6-0 in the Big Ten, and were proclaimed national champions by the National Championship Foundation, the Sargent ratings, and the BR ratings. 1973, Ohio State went 10-0-1, 7-0-1 in the Big Ten, and was proclaimed national champions by the National Championship Foundation, the PS rankings, the RFACT rankings, and the Sargent ratings. So therefore, yeah, definitely should be, yes, national champions, yes. And then 2012, obviously, we went undefeated. 2012, undefeated, we should be national champions. And we would have beaten Notre Dame in the BCS National Championship. There was no doubt about that. Like, seriously. That's what I have decided to proclaim Ohio State as national champions. Because you want to know why? Ohio State, we've lost 4 straight to Michigan. We are tired of losing to Michigan. So therefore, we should just say, hey, we now have more national championships than Michigan. And basically put up signs of 1933, 1944, 1973, and 2012 up in the rafters at Ohio Stadium, saying, yeah, we got more national titles than Michigan. Deal with it. And besides, Ohio State probably won't do it. They probably won't do it. Why? Because nobody at Ohio State has the guts to do it. Nobody has the guts to do it. If I was at Ohio State, if I was hired for Ohio State, I would do it. Because I got guts. I got guts. Oh, you know what? I just found out? Actually, Ohio State should have 14. Because 1975, they also had 5 major actually 6 major selectors select them as the national championship. I mean the national champion. So yeah, basically Ohio State 14 national championships. So, again, Ohio State should claim 1933, 1944, 1973, 1975, and 2012. 5 national titles that Ohio State should claim, and Ohio State should be 14-time national champions right now. So yeah, that should happen, but it's not going to happen because nobody at Ohio State has any guts to do it. And they just should do it. Come on. Do it. It'll make a lot of Ohio State fans happy. And we could just forget about Michigan and all that stuff. And we'll just be happy with our 14 national titles. But it's not going to happen because, again, nobody at Ohio State has any guts to do that. But if I was at Ohio State, I would do it. Just for the hell of it. So, yeah. Alright, time to stop talking about, the whole Michigan stuff. And talk about football. Actual playing of the football. Because right now, I'm going to be talking football like it's never been talked about before. Well, technically I am going to be talking football, but in the view of me. So, back when I was doing my second podcast show, my second live show or whatever, I basically covered Central Ohio football, because let me tell you something. Central Ohio knows how to play football. Well, basically the whole state of Ohio knows how to play football, because there's a lot of great teams around the state of Ohio, but Central Ohio I think is the best at high school football. So basically what I have done is basically took the top 25 in Central Ohio and basically selected who I think is going to win in these matchups. And I believe there are 20-something matchups I have here written in this notebook in the top 25. But I also have a Friday Night Rivals game, which right now is an unranked matchup. But it's a pretty good matchup. So, yeah. So, most of them are ranked. Only one unranked matchup. And then, at the end, I have my Game of the Week, which I have picked. So, yeah. We'll go through all the games that I have found in the top 25 of Central Ohio. And then, at the end of these things, at the very end, like the last game, it will be my Game of the Week. And that's basically my big ol', pick for the Game of the Week. So, yeah. Alright, so going down this list. Right now, I'm recording this on a Thursday, and surprisingly, there's a Thursday game. Didn't think that would be possible for a top 25 team, but it is. So it's 22 Tri-Valley against Meadowbrook. And I have selected Tri-Valley to win. And that's the only Thursday game for the top 25. So now we're moving on to Friday, which obviously this show's uploaded today, but I'm recording on Thursday. So, Friday's games. Number 20, Hilliard-Davidson against Mansfield Senior. I'm going to go with Hilliard-Davidson. I just feel like they have, the players to do it. Mansfield Senior, they were pretty good back in the day, but I feel like they're, taking a step back. So, I'm going Hilliard-Davidson. Thomas Worthington against Canal Winchester. Going to go with Canal Winchester. Because I think, Canal Winchester's got a great team. They've always had a great team. And I think they're going to get done against Thomas Worthington. Tri-Way against West Holmes, which West Holmes is ranked 18th in Central Ohio. I went with West Holmes. And then we got a matchup between ranked team and ranked team. Number 25, Dublin Jerome against my alma mater, number 16, Westerville South. Now, I'm going to go with South. There's no way I'm not going to not pick South. They're my alma mater. I'm obviously going to pick them. So, yeah, Westerville South over Dublin Jerome. London versus New Albany. Number 14, London versus number 17, New Albany. Going to go with New Albany. New Albany is pretty good at football. Seriously. Number 13, Grove City against Taze Valley. Gonna go with Grove City here. Whitmer versus number 12, Dublin Kaufman. Gonna go with Dublin Kaufman on this one. Groveport Madison versus number 11, Hilliard Bradley. Gonna go with Hilliard Bradley. Like all the Hilliard schools, they're pretty good at football. Number 10, Olentangy Orange against Marysville. It's at Marysville, and I think Marysville is going to get the upset against Olentangy Orange. Harvest Prep. Number 9, Harvest Prep against Archbishop Hoban. There's no way Harvest Prep is going to come out with the W. They are going to go to Archbishop Hoban, and they are going to get beaten. Probably by 50. So, yeah. Archbishop Hoban pulls off the upset against Harvest Prep. Alright, and we got number 8, Olentangy Berlin versus number 23, St. Francis de Sales. I'm going with St. Francis de Sales because there's no way that's going to be a loss for these guys. It's at home, and I think Berlin is going to kind of struggle a little bit, but keep it close. They're going to keep it close, probably by a field goal. So yeah, St. Francis de Sales wins it by a field goal. Alright, now we got Anthony Wayne versus number 6, Upper Arlington. I'm going to go Upper Arlington on this one. And now we have like a bit of a rivalry here. Number 4, Gahanna Lincoln against number 7, Pickerington Central. I'm going to go with Pickerington Central. They've been good at football for a long time. They're going to get a W against Gahanna Lincoln. Now we got number 3, Pickerington North against St. Edward. Excuse me. St. Edward's going to destroy Pick North. There's no way that Pick North is going to win up against St. Edward. St. Edward has been really good at football. They've won many national championships. I mean, not national championships, state championships. They've won a lot of state championships, and there's no way St. Edward is going to lose to Pick North. Even though Pickerington North has been like a state contender, they're just not going to be able to beat a state champion like St. Edward. So, yeah. St. Edward over Pick North. Then we got number 5, Big Walnut against number 2, Bishop Watterson. Bishop Watterson is one of the state champions here in Central Ohio. They won, I think, Division 3, I believe. The Division 3 state title. And there's no way Big Walnut's going to beat these guys. So, Bishop Watterson over Big Walnut. Next, we got Chillicothe versus number 21, Bloom Carroll. I'm picking Bloom Carroll over Chillicothe. I almost said Chillicothe over Bloom Carroll, but no. It's Bloom Carroll over Chillicothe. Alright, we got Elria Catholic against number 24, Bishop Hartley. I'm going with Bishop Hartley. And here's the Friday Night Rivals game between Westerville Central and Westerville North. Now, if you don't know what Friday Night Rivals is basically a live TV production of a high school football that usually airs on the CW Columbus here in Columbus. But right now, that's actually going to be on the Nest TV network here in Columbus. And it's also going to be airing live on the ABC6 YouTube page and the CWColumbus.com. So check your local listings for the Nest network. So Central versus North. Stanley Jackson is the head coach of Westville North. He decimated Westville Central last year. He somehow beat South last year as well. So North is the defending Westville City champions. And I think Stanley Jackson and his coaching staff, they're just going to decimate Central again. There's no way Central is going to be beating North anytime soon. I'm going Westville North over Westville Central in this first part of the Battle of the Ville. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's finally time for Colton R's High School Football Game of the Week. The number 15 Olentangy Braves against the number 1 Olentangy Liberty Patriots. A rivalry game where Olentangy is going against their rival and defending Division 1 state champion, Olentangy Liberty. Now, this game's pretty important for both teams. Basically, one of them wants to be, the Olentangy, champion, the best of Olentangy. And honestly, Olentangy, they have been good in football recently. But right now, I think it's Liberty's time to shine. They've won the state championship last year. They lost some good players last year because they were graduating. But, Olentangy does what, Ohio State does. They reload. They don't rebuild, they reload. And I think Olentangy Liberty is going to be dealing a significant L to Olentangy. So, yeah, I'm picking Olentangy Liberty over Olentangy. So, yeah, Olentangy Liberty over Olentangy in that game. Final score prediction, probably Olentangy Liberty 42, Olentangy 21. So, yeah, 3-score game. Olentangy Liberty by 3 scores. So, yeah. And that is it for week 1 of my high school football predictions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Because right now, we're about to hit from high school to college football. Yes, it is finally time to talk about college football. So, I have my week 0 predictions, and I also have my predictions on who's going to win the conferences this year, the conference championships this year. So, with that, let's go on with the week 0 predictions for Saturday, August 23rd. Idaho State against UNLV. FCS versus FBS. UNLV is going to win against Idaho State. There's no way Idaho State beats these guys. UNLV was the runner-up in the Mountain West Championship, so obviously UNLV is going to, take care of business in that game. Then we got Fresno State versus Kansas. I'm going Kansas. Sorry, Fresno State, but I just feel like the Jayhawks will be ready for that one. Then we got a CUSA matchup between Sam Houston State and Western Kentucky. I'm going to go with Western Kentucky because I do not believe Sam Houston State is ready to take over the Conference USA. Not yet. Just not yet. Alright, and then right now we got Stanford versus Hawaii. At Hawaii. I'm going Stanford because Stanford's a Power 4 team, and obviously they're going to, go into Hawaii and take care of business. And now, the college football game of the week, Iowa State versus Kansas State, a rivalry game in Dublin, Ireland, week 0. Now, Kansas State, they've won a couple of Big 12 titles. They haven't won the Big 12 since 2023 when they upset TCU. I mean, not 2023, 2022. I'm getting my years mixed up. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I believe well, technically, Kansas State hasn't won the Big 12 title since 2022. They try to, be in contention for the Big 12, but recently they haven't for some reason. I don't know why. My opinion is because they haven't been, using the transfer portal wisely and not really recruiting very well. But Iowa State and their head coach, they've been doing spectacular. Iowa State made it to the Big 12 championship game last year, only to be somehow beaten by Arizona State in the Big 12 championship game. But I believe Iowa State this year, it will be their time to shine. And I think Iowa State's going to show it in this game. So I'm picking Iowa State to go to Ireland, beat their rival Kansas State in Ireland, and be a huge contender for not only the Big 12 championship, but for the, playoffs, to make it to the playoffs. So, yeah. Alright, that's it for Week 0 matchups. It's now time for me to say who's going to win the conferences this year. So, there's 10 conferences, only one champion. So, we're going to start off with the American Conference. I'm picking Tulane because they came close to win the American Championship last year. They came close. They came very close. They came so close that I believe they lost to Army, and they did. So yeah, Tulane came very close. Close? It's like I'm mixing close with most. It's crazy. But yeah, Tulane came very close to winning the American Championship, but I think this year they get it done. So Tulane will be your American champion. Now for the ACC, I don't think Clemson's a contender for this. Nah, there's no way. There's no way they're going to be a contender. Well, they might be, but they'll come up short. They will definitely come up short. And I'm going crazy here. I've decided I think that SMU is going to win the ACC this year. They were super close to win the ACC and getting a first round bye. But I think I definitely think SMU is going to get that ACC title this year. All right, Big Ten, Ohio State. Just because Ohio State. So yeah, Big Ten, I'm obviously picking Ohio State because I'm an Ohio State fan. Duh. All right. Big 12. I kind of may have, spoiled it a little. But I'm going with Iowa State. Yeah. Big 12 champion is going to be Iowa State this year. CUSA. There's a lot to pick in the CUSA. Well, not really, because Delaware and Missouri State aren't eligible for the CUSA championship. So, let's go with Liberty. I'm picking Liberty to win the CUSA championship this year. MAC championship. Ohio won it last year. Let's pick them to win it this year again. The Ohio Bobcats to win the 2025 MAC championship. Mountain West, I'm picking the team that's won it the most, and that's Boise State. Boise State to win the Mountain West championship. SEC, now there's a lot of contenders for the SEC title, but you know what? I think it's going to be ended up being Texas this year. So yeah, Texas to finally win their first SEC title, and they'll be the SEC champions. And then finally, the Sun Belt. I'm going to Appalachian State just because they beat Michigan back in 2007. Yeah. Appalachian State beat Michigan in 2007. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Appalachian State, for doing it. I think you're going to win the Sun Belt this year. So, yeah. And there we go. That's all I have to talk about for college football and high school football in general. And that's basically it for this episode. So, yeah. Next week, I get to talk about Ohio State football and not just, other football in general. So, yeah. Next week, I get to talk about Ohio State football. Hooray! And hopefully you guys will enjoy listening to me talk about Ohio State football for about 30 minutes or more. So, yeah. So, with that, guys, I'd like to thank you all for listening in on this episode of this podcast. Hit a like. Subscribe to this channel for more. Check out my other videos I've uploaded. And I will basically see you guys next week for when we talk about Ohio State football and also other football in general on a special Ohio State football kickoff episode of Colton R's Not So Light podcast. So until then, guys, I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Disappointed.